I only ever had one relationship in my life, and for a long time, I didn't even think of it as just a relationship. It felt like my entire future. It started in November 2019, at a time when everything still felt hopeful and open. I remember feeling like my life was finally moving in the right direction. I wasn't looking for love desperately. It just happened, slowly, and then all at once. He felt different from anyone I had known before. He listened to me in the beginning. He asked questions about my day, my family, my childhood. He made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt before. When he laughed, I felt lighter. When he told me he missed me, I believed him completely. I let myself fall in love without fear, because at that time, I didn't know fear would become such a big part of loving him. We became official quickly, but it didn't feel rushed. It felt natural. I told my friends about him with excitement. I introduced him to my family because I was proud of him. I wanted the people I loved to know the person I loved. I remember thinking, this is it. This is the man I'm going to marry. I didn't doubt it. I didn't question it. I built my dreams around that belief. We were in a long-distance relationship from the start. Different cities, different routines, different lives. It wasn't easy, but at first, it didn't feel impossible either. We talked every day, long calls late at night, messages throughout the day, falling asleep on video calls, making plans for when we'd finally live in the same place. I held onto those plans tightly. They gave me something to look forward to. I imagined a quiet life with him. Nothing dramatic, just normal things. Cooking together, arguing over small things, laughing about stupid jokes, growing old together. I didn't want perfection. I just wanted him. And I loved him deeply, in a way that was soft and loyal and maybe a little too forgiving. Over time, the distance started to feel heavier. There were days when I missed him so much it physically hurt. I would come home after a long day and feel the emptiness of not having him there. But I kept telling myself it was temporary. That love like this was worth waiting for. That if we both stayed strong, we'd make it. Somewhere along the way, I started to change, and I didn't even realize it at first. I began feeling tired all the time. Not just physically, but emotionally. Things that used to excite me felt dull. Getting out of bed became harder. Smiling felt forced. I didn't understand what was happening to me. I just knew that something inside me felt heavy, like I was carrying a weight I couldn't put down. That was when the depression started. It wasn't dramatic or obvious. There were no big breakdowns at first. It was quiet, silent, lonely. I struggled to explain it, even to myself. Some days I felt numb. Other days I felt overwhelmed for no clear reason. I didn't choose to feel that way. I didn't want to feel that way. I was just trying to survive each day without falling apart completely. I tried to talk to him about it, not all at once, slowly, carefully. I didn't want to scare him or burden him. I told him I was struggling, that I felt low, that I needed patience and understanding. At first, he listened, or at least I thought he did, but something started to shift. His replies became shorter. His tone changed. Calls became less frequent. When I talked about how I was feeling, he seemed distant, uncomfortable. Sometimes he'd change the subject. Sometimes he'd go quiet. I started feeling like my pain was inconvenient to him, like my emotions were something he didn't want to deal with. I noticed everything. The delayed replies, the lack of effort, the way he stopped asking how I was doing. But I made excuses for him. I told myself he was stressed, that long distance was hard on him too, that I shouldn't expect too much. I blamed myself for feeling the way I did. There were nights when I cried quietly after our calls ended. I would stare at my phone, wondering what I had done wrong. I started feeling guilty for being depressed, as if it was something I could just turn off if I tried harder. I wanted to be the version of me he fell in love with again. The happy one, the easy one. I tried to hide my pain more. I laughed when I didn't feel like laughing. I said I was okay when I wasn't. I didn't want to push him away. I was terrified of losing him. He was my safe place, even though I was slowly realizing I wasn't his anymore. The distance between us wasn't just physical anymore. It was emotional. I could feel him slipping away, and no matter how hard I tried to hold on, it felt like I was the only one trying. Still, I stayed. I believed love meant patience. I believed love meant enduring hard times together. I didn't know then that while I was fighting to keep us together, he was already letting go. I remember small moments that haunt me now. Times when I needed reassurance and didn't get it. Times when I asked if everything was okay, and he said yes, even though it clearly wasn't. Times when I felt alone even though I was in a relationship. I ignored my instincts because I didn't want to believe something was wrong. I trusted him completely. I never imagined he would hurt me in the way he eventually did. Cheating wasn't even a possibility in my mind. I thought we were stronger than that. I thought our history, our love, our plans meant something. Looking back now, I can see the cracks forming long before everything collapsed. But at the time, I was too in love, too hopeful, and too afraid to see the truth. I held on to him because I believed love was supposed to be hard sometimes. I didn't realize that love wasn't supposed to make you feel small, guilty, or disposable. I didn't realize that I was slowly losing myself while trying to save a relationship that was already slipping out of my hands. And then, without warning, everything I thought I knew about him, about us, and about love itself was about to shatter. As time went on, the loneliness started to feel louder than the distance. Even when we talked, I felt like I was talking to someone who wasn't fully there anymore. His voice sounded distracted. Sometimes I could hear typing in the background, or he'd pause for too long before responding, like his mind was somewhere else. I noticed it, but I didn't confront him directly. I was scared of pushing him further further away. My depression got worse during that period. Some mornings I woke up with a tight feeling in my chest, like something bad was waiting for me, even if nothing had happened yet. I struggled to focus on my studies and daily life. Simple tasks felt exhausting. I kept telling myself I just needed time, that things would get better once the distance closed, and we were together again. I leaned on him emotionally more than before, not because I wanted to, but because I needed support. I needed reassurance. I needed to feel like I wasn't alone in what I was going through. But instead of pulling me closer, it seemed to push him away. He became less patient. Sometimes he'd say things like I was overthinking or being too sensitive. Other times he'd go quiet when I tried to explain how bad I was feeling. I started feeling like my emotions were a problem that needed to be managed, not understood. There were moments when I could tell he was annoyed with me, even if he didn't say it directly. His tone would change. He'd say during calls. He'd say he was tired or busy more often. I felt like I had to earn his attention, like I had to be in a good mood to deserve love. That realization hurt more than I wanted to admit. I stopped telling him everything. I kept parts of my pain to myself. I didn't want to be seen as weak or broken. I didn't want to give him another reason to pull away. I thought if I could just hold myself together a little better, we'd be okay again. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. There were days when he wouldn't text me for hours, sometimes an entire day, and when he finally did, his messages felt cold, short, distant. I'd stare at my phone, wondering what he was doing, who he was with, why I suddenly felt like an afterthought in my own relationship. I hated that feeling. I hated how insecure I was becoming. I tried to talk to him about it once. I told him I felt like he was drifting away from me. He brushed it off. He said I was imagining things, that nothing had changed. I wanted to believe him, so I did. I doubted myself instead. I remember one night clearly. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling completely empty. I called him because I needed to hear his voice. He answered, but he sounded distracted. I asked him if everything was okay between us. There was a pause. Then he said yes, but it didn't sound convincing. I felt stupid for asking. I apologized for bothering him. After we hung up, I cried quietly into my pillow so no one would hear me. That became a pattern. Me apologizing for needing reassurance. Me minimizing my feelings. Me shrinking myself to keep him comfortable. At the same time, I was still defending him to everyone else. If my friends asked why he seemed distant, I made excuses. If my family asked how things were going, I said we were fine. I didn't want anyone to think badly of him. I didn't want to admit that the person I trusted most was slowly slipping away. I held on to memories of how he used to be, the way he once cared, the way he once made me feel safe. I kept hoping that version of him would come back. I told myself relationships go through phases, that this was just a rough patch. What I didn't realize was that while I was trying to fix things, he had already emotionally checked out. There were small red flags I ignored. Times when he'd cancel calls without explanation. Times when he seemed irritated by my sadness. Times when he made me feel like my mental health was a burden. I blamed myself for all of it. I thought if I could just be stronger, happier, easier to love, things would go back to normal. I started feeling guilty for being depressed, as if it was a personal failure. I questioned my worth constantly. I wondered if anyone could truly love me like this. I felt ashamed of my own emotions. I felt like I was asking for too much just by wanting care and understanding. I didn't know that during this time, he was already capable of betraying me in ways I couldn't even imagine. I trusted him completely. I never checked his phone. I never questioned his loyalty. I never thought he would cross that line. Even when things felt off, cheating never crossed my mind. I believed that no matter what we were going through, he wouldn't hurt me like that. I was wrong. The distance between us kept growing, and I felt like I was standing alone on one side, holding on to something that was no longer being held on the other end. I was exhausted, emotionally drained, but I stayed because I believed love meant not giving up when things got hard. I didn't know that the hardest part was still ahead of me. I didn't know that everything I was holding onto was about to collapse in a single moment, and that the person I trusted most would be the one to break me completely. I found out about the cheating in a way I never expected, and in a moment I'll never forget. It wasn't dramatic. There was no screaming or confrontation at first. It was quiet, almost casual, which somehow made it worse. He told me a week after it happened. I remember exactly where I was when he finally said it. I was sitting alone, my phone in my hand, scrolling mindlessly, trying to distract myself from the heaviness I felt all the time. When his message came in, I didn't think much of it. I thought it was just another normal conversation. But then I read the words, and everything inside me went still. He said he had something to tell me. He said he messed up. He said he cheated. At first, my brain refused to process it. I read the message again and again, convinced I was misunderstanding something. Cheating didn't fit into the version of him I had in my head. It didn't fit into the life I had imagined. My hands started shaking, but I didn't cry. I couldn't. I felt numb, like my body shut down to protect me. Then he told me who it was. His roommate's girlfriend. They lived in the same apartment. His roommate was asleep in another room when it happened. Hearing those details made me feel sick. It wasn't just betrayal. It was careless, disrespectful, cruel. I remember thinking about how easily he crossed that line, how little thought he gave to the consequences to me. I broke up with him immediately. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't ask questions. I just said I was done. It felt like the only way to keep some dignity in a moment where everything else had had been taken from me. After that, the emptiness hit. I would stare at my phone, not knowing what to do with myself. I felt like my entire world had collapsed in on itself. The person I trusted most had become the person who hurt me the most. Everything I believed about us felt like a lie. Then the begging started. He messaged constantly. He called over and over again. Long paragraphs. Apologies. Promises. He said it was a mistake. That it meant nothing. That he was drunk. That he wasn't thinking. He said he loved me. That he couldn't lose me. That he would do anything to fix it. I wanted to hate him. I wanted to be strong. But I was already broken, and part of me still loved him. I hated that about myself. I hated how easily his words still affected me. I hated how badly I wanted to believe him. I started thinking about giving him another chance. Not because he deserved it, but because I didn't want to lose the future I had imagined. I didn't want to accept that 4 years of my life had ended like this. I told myself people make mistakes. I told myself love means forgiveness. But every time I thought about what he did, my chest tightened. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat properly. I replayed everything in my head over and over again. I wondered if there were signs I missed. I wondered how long he had been capable of hurting me like this. While I was trying to process the betrayal, we got into one big fight. It started over something small, something stupid, but all the pain and anger I had been holding in came out at once. I asked questions. I demanded honesty. I wanted reassurance. Instead, he snapped. He told me he was tired. He said he couldn't do this anymore. He said he was done with me, just like that. No conversation, no effort, no accountability. After begging me not to leave him, he was suddenly the one walking away. That hurt more than the cheating itself. Then came the blame. He told me that cheating was my fault. He said he did it because I was depressed, because I wasn't the same person anymore, because I was too negative. Hearing that felt like being punched in the chest. I couldn't believe the person I loved was capable of saying something so cruel. I started questioning everything. I wondered if my depression really did ruin the relationship. I wondered if I pushed him into it. I wondered if I was too much to love. His words stayed in my head, replaying over and over again, making me doubt my own reality. He made me feel like my pain was the reason he betrayed me. Around that time, I noticed something else that hurt in a different way. We had shared albums on Google Photos, years of memories, college moments, screenshots of conversations, random pictures that meant nothing to anyone else, but meant everything to me. One day, I opened the app and realized he had deleted everything from his side. Every photo, every memory. It felt like he was erasing me, like he was trying to pretend I never existed. Half of my college life was gone in an instant. I cried harder over those deleted memories than I expected. It wasn't just about pictures. It was about losing proof that what we had was real. I felt disposable, replaceable, like I was something he could just delete and move on from. I tried to stay strong, but inside, I was falling apart. I couldn't recognize myself anymore. I was angry one moment and completely empty the next. I felt humiliated for trusting him. I felt ashamed for still missing him. I felt stupid for believing his promises. And yet, despite everything, I still hadn't hit my lowest point, because even after all of that, he wasn't done hurting me. After everything that happened, there was a strange silence that followed. No messages, no calls, no explanations left to give. It felt unreal how someone who had been such a big part of my daily life could suddenly disappear. One moment, he was the center of my world. The next, he was just gone. For the first few days, I was in shock. I went through my routine on autopilot. I woke up, ate when I remembered to, and went to bed exhausted but unable to sleep. My phone felt heavier in my hand, even when there were no notifications. I kept checking it out of habit, even though I knew there would be nothing from him. Then, about a month after the breakup, when I was still barely holding myself together, he reached out again. I remember seeing his name on my screen and feeling my heart drop. My hands started shaking. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Another part of me needed to know why he was contacting me again. I answered, hoping maybe this time he would apologize. Maybe he would finally take responsibility. He didn't. Instead, he told me that he had been thinking and had realized that we were just too different. He said he knew now that he would never be happy with me. He said it calmly, like he was explaining a simple fact. No emotion, no regret, no awareness of how deeply those words would cut. I sat there listening, feeling something inside me crack. After everything he had done, after cheating, lying, blaming me, and walking away, he still found a way to make it hurt more. It felt like he needed to justify his actions by convincing himself that I was the problem. That conversation broke something in me that I didn't know could break. After that, I stopped recognizing myself. I became quiet, withdrawn. I avoided people because I didn't know how to explain the pain I was in. I felt embarrassed for loving him so deeply. I felt ashamed for believing in a future that no longer existed. I replayed every moment of our relationship in my head, searching for where things went wrong. The last 3 months were the darkest period of my life. I was 25 years old, and I had never felt that low before. I cried at random times, in the shower, in my bed late at night, night, sometimes for no clear reason at all. Other times because a song reminded me of him, or a memory surfaced when I wasn't prepared for it. There were days when getting out of bed felt impossible, nights when my thoughts wouldn't stop racing. I questioned my worth constantly. I wondered if I was unlovable, if my depression made me too difficult to be with. His words stayed with me, echoing in my head when I was already at my weakest. I missed him, even though I hated myself for it. I missed the version of him I thought I knew. I missed the future I had planned. I missed the girl I used to be before everything fell apart. Slowly, very slowly, things started to change. It didn't happen all at once. There was no sudden moment of clarity or strength. Healing came in small, quiet ways. One day, I realized I hadn't checked his social media in a while. Another day, I noticed I could talk about him without crying. Some days were still heavy, but they didn't crush me the way they used to. I started focusing on myself again, even when it felt uncomfortable. I spent time alone, learning how to sit with my thoughts instead of running from them. I started understanding that his choices were not a reflection of my worth, that my depression didn't make me deserving of betrayal, that love should not feel like something you have to beg for. I began to see how much I had lost myself in that relationship, how often I had ignored my own needs to keep him comfortable, how I had blamed myself for things that were never my fault. That realization hurt, but it also gave me strength. I'm not completely healed. I don't think I am yet. Some days still hurt more than I expect. Some memories still sting, but I'm doing better now. I'm learning how to rebuild myself without him, without the version of me that believed love meant tolerating pain in silence. What I went through changed me. It broke me in ways I never imagined, but it also forced me to face myself honestly. I'm still here, still healing, still learning how to love myself again, slowly, one day at a time.